Hey everyone, I'm here with episode 2 of Reddit Read, and here we're going to start off the new story of the time I was kidnapped. Starting off with chapter 1. So let's get started. By the way, I should mention this. I'm going to put it in the title. This does have a trigger warning. I'm not too sure of what type of trigger or how exactly it correlates into what. I don't know what kind of trigger it is, but it said trigger warning, so I'm not sure if that's like a PTSD trigger, as this is a unfortunate kidnap story. So I'm led to believe that they didn't just kidnap this girl just for fun of it, or for no reason. That they engaged in some pretty fucked up, disgusting, unhumane shit. So yeah, I'm just gonna kind of put that out there, even though it's in the title. Just in case, for whatever reason, you maybe didn't notice it. Yeah, there is definitely a trigger warning in this. It's stated on not Twitter, on Reddit. So, yeah. Now, by the way, if you guys would like to read yourself, or at least listen to the episode 1 of the Reddit Read series, I will definitely link you guys to the story on Reddit on the last episode of every last video of every episode that I do. In case you guys are wondering, somebody asked me before why I didn't link to the Reddit story that I was doing before, which I've now finished, and it's basically so you guys wouldn't read ahead, because it kind of defeats the purpose of me doing the video. Anyways, so thanks for staying tuned, and yeah, so let's get started. So, hi Reddit, I'm not sure if this belongs here, but this is a huge part of my life that just happened. That happened. I'd like to apologize beforehand about my writing. It isn't the best. The story isn't for everyone. I just want to get it out there because I've kept it bottled in for so long. Please do not continue to read this if you're uncomfortable. Well, I'm going to say it straight out as it is. I was kidnapped when I was 18. Some backstory. I had just graduated from high school, but I wasn't sure where my direction in life was going. 2 months after graduating, I was given an opportunity to move out of my dad's house and in with a friend. Rent was great because my friend Alexis stayed in her half duplex that her grandmother owned, and needed a roommate because her dad was leaving to flip houses with his girlfriend in another state, and her mother unfortunately passed away a few years earlier. I was happy to move out, despite living at home for free, because I used to have a big problem with my dad when I was younger. He was borderline abusive. When I was a child, he would always scream at us to clean. Everything had to be clean all the time. And if we weren't cleaning well, then we need to get cleaning. When I was 13 to 14, he threatened me, telling me that he would rip my head off and throw it down the street with his hands around my neck because I was stubborn with him, and argued against him about not going to bed early on a summer night. That wasn't the only thing that happened, but he went to therapy for some time and calmed down a year and a half later. While I went and lived with him because my mom is an alcoholic, and I hate to say it, but I can't stand to be around my older brother. I'm the third child out of 4, and my oldest brother, who's 4 years older than me, has some problems. He's been diagnosed with other things, but my parents have always thought he had Asperger's. That's not the important part of why I can't stand being around him, but mainly it's because he's a toxic person with a toxic personality and has always been aggressive and sometimes borderline abusive too. I made peace with all of this. I just don't like aggression. Anyways, at Alexis's house, we had a beautiful old pit bull mixed dog. She's a sweetie, but she wasn't taken out for a lot of walks. Alexis's mom would let the dog go outside in the fenced backyard to do her business. So when I came in, I tried to take her on as many walks as I could. She loved to go outside and bask in the sun, but she also really freaking loved to go on walks. I only had to pick up her chest harness and she would bounce off the walls, pushing me to the front door because she was so eager to go outside. I had left the house with her by my side and locked the door behind me just in case. We live in a pretty good neighborhood, but since I was home alone at the time, I didn't want to leave the house alone and vulnerable too. I walked Brandy all around the neighborhood, allowing her to stop and smell the grass whenever she pleased and bask in the sunlight with her as she did. We ran around back to our house the last 10 minutes, so I knew she'd got some good exercise that day. And well, so did I. Our walk was about 40 minutes total. And when we came back to the front door, we were both breathing hard. I know 10 minutes of running should be a piece of cake for me, especially being somebody my age. It is for millions of others. But I have asthma and I'm a bit of a shape. I don't feel weird. So I didn't feel weird or odd. My spider tingle sense wasn't tingling. I think they mean to say my spider senses weren't tingling, but they said it perfectly fine there too. It wasn't tingling at all. I wasn't aware at all that I was being followed on my walk or that I was followed home. I wasn't aware that the car in my neighbor's driveway, our shared driveway, may I add, was a stranger's car. I had only been living there for 3 weeks and didn't pay attention to that. And I wasn't aware that the man in the car, that the man that would kidnap me was sitting in the car, hidden. So I didn't see him when I went to unlock my front door. I wasn't aware at all until, well, one forceful hand grabbed my neck, squeezing me with his strength, while another hand held a drugged cloth to my face. There was maybe a 10-second reaction time in the span where I could not breathe, and thrashed against the force that he held that stole my air from me before I collapsed and went unconscious. When I woke up, I was already in an unfamiliar home, in an unfamiliar room, in a cage. I don't know if it was specifically meant for humans or if it was a large dog cage, but that's what I woke up in. I was unable to turn around I was able to turn around if I needed to, but there wasn't enough room to stretch my body. I was so scared when I woke up. I immediately, immediately my breath caught in my throat and I couldn't breathe. My lungs grasped that air frantically, but it felt like I couldn't pull any in, and I started to hyperventilate. It was a fun time that lasted what seemed for at least an hour. But I was finally able to calm myself down. I was left alone in that room, in that locked cage for hours, before that man came in to check up on me. When the man finally walked in the room, I got a good look at him. He was a muscular, tall, light-skinned, sandy blonde hair, green eyes. He was a pretty normal-looking, attractive even, kind of guy. Admitting that makes my gut wrench typing that, but it's important. He didn't look like that stereotypical lanky, thin, crazy psycho meth head. He looked like he was very nice and had a good leveled head on him just for appearance. But this is the person I would hope rots in his grave for the rest of his life. He crouched down in front of my cage. Well, well, well. Good for you for not soiling yourself in the time you've been in here, he says concedingly. The first fucking thing he says to me. I'm sure you need to go soon, though. He was right. I was in there for hours, as mentioned earlier. If I had to guess, probably about 5. And I hadn't gone to the restroom. I don't have the strongest bladder. And the second he made me aware of that, I realized that he was right. I didn't say anything. I don't know what to say. Sorry, I didn't know what to say. I just glared at him through the cage bars, not wanting to say anything. Both because I was furious I was in there and also because I was terrified. He flashed a smile, the type that's would make him a perfect toothpaste commercial actor. I hated him so much for that. And so I sat there and waited for him to continue. Well, aren't you pretty? He said in admiration of me, with me trapped in a cage made me feel like a circus animal. Trapped because I'm too dangerous to be out, but also because it makes me a perfect view. So, do you need to use the restroom or not? He held out a set of keys, jingling them in front of me. My bladder was screaming at me, and so I slowly shook my head as yes. He didn't say anything but flashed me a smile and unlocked the cage, opening the door wide open for me to crawl through. I did so, and before I stood up, he kicked at my stomach, sending me flying back, down onto the ground, about 2 feet away. What do you say? He shouted at me. The pain raced my every nerve, sending my brain pounding against my skull. I pissed myself when he kicked me, and I felt that warmth radiate through the jeans I was wearing. I lost myself in the sobs and my pain. He screamed at me again and yanked me up through the by the hair. My scream echoed off the walls of the room back at me, and he leaned in close to me, talking in a controlled, deep growl. You will call me sir. Do you understand? And you do not stand unless you are told to stand. You crawl. My side and head screamed in pain as my terrified sobbing rocked me back and forth under his grip. May I hear a yes, sir? Yes, sir. Came out in between gasps of air. I was hyperventilating again and thoroughly covered my own urine. Covered in my own urine. Good. Now let's get you cleaned up because you're a dirty little whore who pissed yourself from a little pain. He snapped his fingers and said, crawl slut behind me and I'll show you the bath. I had no other choice but to follow his orders. I hadn't gotten over my abuse and had lost control over my sobbing. It looked like a normal bathroom. I followed him while hyperventilating, which he ignored. The bathroom was in the same room I was staying in. It looked like a normal bathroom. He began drawing hot water and turned to me and said, okay, slut. That's your new name, by the way. Here, I get you new here, but I'll explain the rules to you right now while we get warmed up to each other. Okay? Yes, sir. I took off my clothes as fast as I could to get this disgust over with, knowing he was looking at my body and was going to do so anyways. Look, you're learning already. To begin with, you address me as sir, and only sir. Secondly, when you're in my presence, you'll be on your knees. When you follow me, you will do so on your hands and knees. And when I enter the room, or we come into a new room together, you are to go onto your knees, hands on your thighs, until I say otherwise. Do so now. Yes, sir. I didn't know what to do at this point. I have no idea what area I'm at, how far away from home I am, so I just went with it, I guess. I was so terrified at the time, I didn't know what to do. Okay, awesome now. Slut, get in the bathtub. He took a seat on a chair he had left in the bathroom to do exactly that I guessed. And he watched me take the entire bath, his eyes not leaving my body for a single second. When I was ready to get out, I shyly looked up at him, coarsely whispering, I'm finished, sir. Sir stood up from his chair and reached into the bathwater and unplugged the drain. Stand, he commanded. and threw me a towel from the closet behind him and took a seat back onto the chair, his eyes never leaving me while I was forced to dry myself off with the towel in front of him. His eyes made me feel so sick. I couldn't stand to meet his gaze or even look at him. So I shut my eyes at a corner and dozed off, wanting to forget about where I am. We're ready for my clothes. I hesitantly looked at him and asked him, "Sir, may I have my clothes back?" "Your clothes? Why, no, silly. How would I be able to look at your beautiful body in its perfection if you were wearing clothes?" I was a bit dumbfounded, and I didn't know what to say for that. I was entirely terrified at the time, and I was afraid that if I fought back in any way, that would cause him to hurt me. I want to avoid that at all costs and figure this out without me or even him being hurt. It's stupid when I think back on it and realize how stupid that was of me. Anyways, Reddit, I'm at character capacity now. It's important for me to continue the story, but also in case it helps anybody else. Anyways, that is going to be the end of episode 2, chapter 1 of the time I was kidnapped. If you guys like the story, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe for more of these, as I will do these every day or two. So I'll try to make it a regular occurrence, at least a couple times a week. If not, at least, try and do it that, or even if it's not a regular occurrence, like a daily thing or whatever. As always, if you guys have any of your own stories to recommend, to share, email is in the description. If you guys contact me, that is the only email I'll accept the stories at. If you guys have your own, if you guys have any other stories you guys would like me to read in the future, you guys can link me to those in the description. In the comment section. And do note that I will not publish those comments until I'm done reading the whole story. Obviously, for the same reason why I don't link the story links until I'm done with the story. So until next time, guys, thanks for listening. Rate, subscribe, and comment. And until next time, stay spooky and peace.